I've been building my own kingdom for everyone to see. It exists to keep me safe from harm, and it's intact to glorify me. Nobody helped me build this up. It was me and me alone. I've appointed myself as the king, and I've given myself the throne. But it turns out I'm no ruler, and I have no control. So I have decided to destroy it all. I'm tearing down the walls, kicking down the doors. Everything inside this kingdom is yours. 'Cause what I've made is worthless, and it cannot stand. Come and breathe some life into my empty, cold, dead end. Down with the fickle king, away with this fantasy. You are the one I need. Death to the kingdom of me. Death to the kingdom of me. I should probably be frightened. This empire's all I know, but it always does more damage than good. I'm afraid it's gotta go. I know that I can't be trusted, 'cause I'm just a man. And if you hadn't given your life for me, a loser would be all that I am. You know they say just follow your heart. I'm afraid that's a load of trash. Your heart will take you down to deep, dark places where you feel like you'll never come back. So I'm coming out of the dark. This facade is I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Yeah, I woke up feeling like it might be a good day to get it done. That's right. Oh, the stadium is just like my second house. Now I'm two-tone talking, they can't shut my mouth. I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Yeah, 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 yeah. I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Oh, goodness gracious. Welcome back, everybody, to the Two-Tone Talk by God Pod, episode 124, I believe, and it is good to see you today. Got my buddy right here with me. If you can see him, the mic's covering him up. Come on, look at him, bud. Woohoo! There he is. If you can't, if you're listening on Spotify or SoundCloud, you're wondering what the heck's going on. That is my dog, Roman Henry Steele. It is the Two-Tone Talk by God Pod, and we are here today to preview Titans, Commanders, and we've got a little pep in our step, don't we? We've got a little pep in our step because Titans just pulled off a huge upset, beat a division rival on the road, restores some confidence in Will Levis, restores some confidence in Brian Callahan, restores some confidence in what the Titans are trying to do, in what the Titans are trying to build. And even this week, a little bit of discussion about playoffs? You talking about playoffs? Now, listen, I don't think it's likely. I did a video about this on the channel, but I don't think it's likely that the Tennessee Titans are going to make the playoffs, okay? But it ain't out of the realm of possibility. Not going to get into the details because, like I said, I did a video about it on the channel, but I will just say the Texans don't look good, and they don't have a favorable schedule down the line, okay? Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens. That's a 3-game stretch the Texans have. Now, 2 of those games are at home. They play the Dolphins and the Ravens at home, and then they got to play the Chiefs on the road. But that's a brutal 3-game stretch. Dolphins are playing pretty well right now. Chiefs are the Chiefs, and the Ravens are the Ravens. The Texans don't look good. Texans have the Jaguars on Sunday. And I'm just going to tell you. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. The Titans are currently 4 games behind Houston. Okay. But if they win against the Commanders on Sunday, and somehow the Jaguars, coming off of a bye with Trevor Lawrence returning, if the Jaguars beat the Texans this week and the Titans beat the Commanders, and you jump up to being 3 games behind those Texans, we got to have a conversation at that point. I'm just going to tell you, we got to have a conversation at that point, because I'll just go ahead and tell you. Now you're 3 games behind them, and then Houston has a bye week. If you win while they're on a bye week, now you're 2 games behind them, and they got the Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens. Now, all of this is contingent upon the Tennessee Titans continuing on the momentum that they started on Sunday, hopefully against Houston. And I'm a little skeptical because the Titans have not won consecutive games since November of 2022. It's been 2 years, 2 calendar years since the Titans won consecutive games. Do you remember it? They beat the Broncos, and then they beat the Packers back-to-back, and then they proceeded to lose 7 straight games and miss the playoffs when they had a huge lead in the division. The Titans have not won consecutive games in 2 years. It'd be a good time to do it on Sunday at Washington. I think this is the toughest game the Titans have left. Admittedly, I think the Titans' schedule in front of them is a lot easier than what's behind them. They've had a brutal last couple of months. Bills, Lions, Chargers, Vikings, Texans. That's a brutal stretch. And so what's in front of them is easier, but I still think at Washington is tough. The Commanders have lost 3 games in a row. And the last one was a heartbreaker against the Cowboys, where they, got down there. They had the crazy touchdown to Terry McLaurin, and then it all went south because the kicker missed the kick. So they're hungry. Trust me. The Commanders, everything was going right for them. Now they've lost 3 straight, and the Commanders are hungry. They're coming into this thing wanting to right the ship against Tennessee this Sunday. All right. Now, that worries me because it's at Washington, and those fans are going to know as well that we need to get this team a win. But Tennessee's going to have a little swagger coming in, surely. Tennessee's going to be trying to build on what they started against Houston last week. Tennessee's going to be feeling good about themselves. Maybe they can carry some of that momentum. Here's what worries me about the Commanders. Jaden Daniels is a mobile quarterback. First of all, he's been playing so well. I know had a couple of turnovers against the Cowboys, and he's looked a little more like a rookie the last couple of games. But still, Jaden Daniels has been really phenomenal for Washington. Better than anybody even would have thought. And what he's able to do with his legs worries me, because the Titans have struggled against mobile quarterbacks this season. See Malik Willis, see Drake May, who had, I think, over 100 yards rushing against us. The Titans defense, for whatever reason, they cannot seem to account for a running back being able to escape the pocket and run. And that worries me going up against Jaden Daniels. Possibility, I guess, of Cheeto Awuzie possibly returning to the lineup for this game. Be a good week for that, because I'm worried about going up against Terry McLaurin. I know Went up against Houston last week with Tank Dell and Nico Collins, and that kind of felt like, ooh, our secondary with no Sneed, no Awuzie, and ended up no Monty Hooker, who will be back this week. It was like, oh man, we're going to get torched. And then the secondary hung in there. They played well. Jarvis Brownlee obviously played really well. Very excited about him, as I talked about the other day. Darrell Baker, Daryl Worley, whoever these guys are, the Darrells, they're in there playing well. So I don't think the Commanders have overall as talented a lineup of weapons as the Texans do, but they do have Terry McLaurin. Okay. They do have Terry McLaurin. And so, yeah, I'm worried about how effective he's going to be. I'm worried about Jaden Daniels using his legs. And I'm worried that the Titans are going to ruin this good feeling that we all have. You know, Sunday was a great day that we needed because it's been a tough season. It's been a really tough season, a miserable first few weeks, and a miserable stretch there in the middle where we just got clobbered by the Bills and clobbered by the Lions. Handled pretty soundly by the Chargers. I mean, just then the situation with the referees, with the Vikings, and then, you know, you've had former players like Malik Willis torching us at times this year. It's been a pretty miserable season. We needed that game against Houston. We needed to experience that, beating a division rival on the road. And I just don't want it to end. I'm worried that the Titans are going to go in there and it's going to feel like just the same old stuff. I hope they can keep it going. Regardless of what the final record is, I hope Will Levis can continue playing well. Hope Brian Callahan can continue to figure it out. Hope the offensive line, I hope J.C. Latham gets back on track. I think the Commanders' defense, obviously, they struggle against the run, so potentially could be a real opportunity for Tony Pollard to have a big game. If Tyjae Spears is back in the lineup, he can have a big game. So I think the Titans are going to be able to run the ball well. And I just hope that we can continue to see what we saw against Houston in the passing game. I don't want to look back and say that Houston game was a fluke. I don't want to look back and say that Houston game was just, you know, one-time thing and then it was right back to the same old stuff. I can't tell you how much it would encourage me to go follow up that win with another tough win at Washington against the Commanders. That would be huge. So I'm a lot's on the line, you know, even in a 3-8 season, a lot's on the line because I want the Titans to continue doing what they're doing. I want them to continue to build on what they did against Houston. Worried about going up against Jaden Daniels and what he can do with his legs. Worried about Terry McLaurin and what he can do to us. And Washington, you know, they're begging to get back on track after these 3 straight losses. So definitely think it's the toughest game that the Titans have left on the schedule. And if they want to win, they're going to have to earn it because even though they've lost 3 straight, Washington is fired up. They are fired up for this game. They are fired up to see their team get a win after 3 straight losses. They want to get this back on track. They've watched the Eagles kind of pull away from them in that NFC East. Wild card race heating up in the NFC. They're feeling the pressure. They got a lot more to lose than us, and that can be a good thing for us because they're the ones playing with everything to lose. We're just the 3-8 team coming in that everybody thinks is going to lose anyway. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. But I would love to see a Titans victory. And for all of you still complaining about the tank, for those of you still complaining about, you know, we need to lose for draft position and yada, 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 I'm just telling you right now, at this point currently as it sets, I think this team needs to keep establishing that winning culture. You got to try to build on what you did against Houston. Try to keep winning games. Regardless of what the final record is, I think it would be huge for this team to win at least a few more games to get to the offseason and say, hey, we started figuring it out there. We started figuring it out. Will started figuring it out. Callie started figuring it out. Ridley and this offensive line started figuring it out, man. Awesome. That would be great, regardless of if the miracle happens where you make the playoff push, regardless of whether that happens or not. To be able to go into the offseason and say, we figured it out. You know, we started winning. We got. Do you remember Detroit? You know, last year they went to the NFC title game, but the year before that, they got really hot at the end of the season. They missed the playoffs that year. If you remember, the Lions missed the playoffs, but they ended the season with so much momentum because they had figured it out. They had started winning games. Jared Goff was playing better. Dan Campbell was on to something coaching-wise, and they were feeling a lot better about themselves. And then when they came back the next year, they just picked up and kept that momentum going, and it took them to the NFC title game. And then they brought everybody back, and now look at what they're doing this year. They're the best team in the NFL. So I think even if the Titans don't make the playoffs, which I don't think is likely, even if just to get momentum going into the offseason, even just to be able to look and say, hey, you know, at one point we couldn't figure out how to win a game to save our lives. And then we figured it out. And we started winning. We managed to get 5 or 6 wins. So now let's carry that over to next season. Let's fix some of these issues. And let me say this too. There was a time with Will Levis when we were all, or at least I was done with him. After the Colts game, I said, I'm finished with this. I'm done with this. I don't need to see any more. And I started talking about guys like Shedeur Sanders. I started talking about guys like Cam Ward. I started talking about anybody else other than Will Levis. But now that Will's playing better, I mean, listen, regardless of what the final record is, I really hope that he continues playing well over these last 6 games. I hope he continues to do good things. I hope we get to the end of the season and the general consensus is we're sticking with him. I really hope. And here's why. Because if you have that nailed down, if you have the Will Levis issue nailed down, and you know he's going to be the quarterback, well, then guess what? You can go spend your first-round draft pick on something else that you need, such as a young wide receiver, such as an edge rusher, such as a right tackle. You can go do that other stuff then and not have to worry about spending a first-round pick on a quarterback that you hope pans out. If Will Levis is good enough to bring back next year and you don't have to worry about that, you can go get a young wide receiver, an edge rusher, a right tackle. Thank God. You don't have to sit around and worry about quarterback because you can start trying to make the team better. So it is in the team's best interest, it is in the organization's best interest for Will Levis to continue to play well over these last 6 games, regardless of the final record. I hope he keeps it up. I really do. I hope he eliminates the turnovers, gets better pocket presence. I hope by the time the season's over, we can sit here with no doubt and say he needs to be back next season. Let's go fix this other stuff. That's the best case scenario. The best case scenario is that we get in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. That's always the best case scenario. But in terms of realism, in terms of not being put in an insane asylum, the best case scenario is Will plays well enough that we're good to go with him next year and we could fix other stuff. That'd be great, man. That'd be great. And then you've already got Skoronski and Latham and Lloyd Cushenberry coming back on the line. I hope they re-sign Dylan Radins. You bring him back. You fix right tackle, and hopefully your offensive line's ready to go. Okay? J.C. Latham struggled against Houston, but I think he's going to be fine. I really do. I think he's going to be fine. Peter Skoronski's been getting better and better. Lloyd Cushenberry, I hope he's ready to go. The injury was bad, but I think he's going to be ready to go by next season. He was doing a good job. Dylan Radins has been good. And then you go figure out right tackle, get a good solution there, and we're good, right? So Offensive line, and then wide receiver, you need to get a young wide receiver, need to bring some youth in. The only guarantee to be back on this receiving core next year, I guess, is Calvin Ridley, which that's good because he's playing better. That's another bright side. Calvin Ridley, you remember when we were all sitting around here going, man, Calvin Ridley, what a waste of money. Well, guess what? He's playing better. Really, since that Detroit game, it started with the Lions game. There wasn't much good that happened in that Lions game. But Calvin Ridley, that started his upward trend, and he's been good ever since. So glad we're going to have Ridley back next year. Another element of this Titans-Commanders game coming up on Sunday that needs to be talked about is the special teams, because the Commanders had a miserable day of special teams last Sunday against the Cowboys. The Titans always have a miserable day of special teams, no matter who they're playing. So this might be a contest of some of the worst special teams that you will see in the league. There is certainly nothing special about these special teams. The Titans, I don't know what it's going to take. You just know they're going to give up at least one long return. I'm still not convinced that they can get through a game without doing it. I'm really not. I am not convinced that the Tennessee Titans can get through a football game without giving up at least one long kick return or one long punt return. I'm not convinced they can do it. We're going to see. Nick Folk has been very good. Ryan Stonehouse has not. Although Stonehouse's last punt against Houston the other day was huge. It was a great punt. But he's also struggled at times. But the coverage teams are just absolutely awful. And I still don't know how Colt Anderson even has a job. I don't want to call for a man's job, but I don't know how he is still employed by the Tennessee Titans at this time. So the special teams element, for Titans Commanders, looking at how bad the Commanders special teams was last week, it literally may come down to whose special teams unit can make the least mistakes. And I'm not kidding, whose special teams unit can do the least dumb stuff between the Titans and the Commanders. I don't know. 32-1 power rankings. Actually, I already put up a video with my wife. We did a fun little thing where she ranked the teams as she saw them. And it was interesting. And then I ranked them. So that will have to suffice for my tier rankings this week. You can go check that video out if you're interested in the 32-1 power rankings for this week. But let's make some picks. Let's make some picks for starting today at 2 o'clock, the Raiders and the Chiefs. I have no doubt that the Chiefs are going to win this football game. Okay, the Chiefs, the Raiders are so horrible. I watched a lot of that Broncos-Raiders game last week. I have no idea why. The Raiders are terrible, and I think, they just don't have an answer at quarterback. And this game's at Arrowhead. Now, remember, last year on Christmas Day, the Raiders and the Chiefs played each other, and the Raiders smoked the Chiefs. I don't think that's going to happen on this day after Thanksgiving game. I think the Chiefs are going to obliterate the Raiders, and the Raiders are heading toward Shedeur Sanders, I believe. Let's get to the Sunday games. The Colts and the Patriots in Foxborough. I think this could be an interesting one. The Colts are a 2.5-point favorite, but I could really see the Patriots winning this game. I'm going to go with the Colts, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be low scoring, like a Colts 20, Patriots 17 type thing. I think the Colts absolutely have a better roster, but at this time, I do think Drake May is playing better than Anthony Richardson. But ultimately, I just, as a whole, trust the Colts a little bit more than I trust the Patriots to win this one. Steelers, Bengals. Cincinnati's a 3-point favorite. It's crazy. An 8-3 Steelers team taking on a 4-7 Bengals team, and the Bengals are favored to win. The Bengals are just such an anomaly. They've got all the talent. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and yet they just can't figure out how to win. I think they figure out how to win this Sunday. I think the Bengals beat the Steelers. I think what you're going to see as the season starts to wind down over these next 6 weeks, I think you're going to start to see the Steelers look human. I think the Steelers are absolutely still going to make the playoffs, but I think you're going to see the Steelers start to oh man, it is raining hard out there. You're going to start to see the Steelers show some weaknesses and some human elements, I think, over these last little bit because everything's been working out for them. I think the Bengals win this game. Chargers, Falcons. Falcons are in danger. Falcons are in danger because they've lost a couple of games that they should have won, and now they've got a couple of tough games coming up. Chargers are coming to town, coming in off of a loss to the Ravens on Monday. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. It's in Atlanta. Chargers are a 1.5-point favorite. I just think the Falcons' defense has not been good. Their pass rush has not been good. Justin Herbert going against that pass rush. I worry about that for Atlanta. And I think the Chargers are a better team overall right now. I got the Chargers beating the Falcons, and that's going to put the Falcons into a little bit of trouble because that NFC South is really starting to get more interesting than it needs to be. I got the Chargers there. Seahawks, Jets. I think I'm just going to have to go with the Seahawks. The Seahawks are not fun to watch. They're not entertaining, but Seahawks win. And what Mike McDonald is doing there, it's working. The Jets are not very good. The Seahawks are a 2-point favorite, so I'm going with the Seahawks to beat the Jets. Geno's clutch. Geno comes in the clutch. I think this will be a close game, but I got the Seahawks winning, staying in first place in the NFC West for now. Texans, Jaguars. Houston's a 4-point favorite. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't stand the Jaguars. I would love to see the Jaguars win this football game, especially if the Titans can find a way to win. I would love to see the Jags beat the Texans. I just don't think it's going to happen. The Texans, this is a must-win for Houston because you cannot lose to Tennessee and Jacksonville back-to-back. I got the Texans winning. The Jaguars are just not good, so I'm going to go Houston. But if I'm a Texans fan, I'd be scared. I'll just go ahead and tell you, if I was a Texans fan, I would be scared of this game. Because, Jags coming off of a bye, but I'll go with the Texans. Cardinals, Vikings. Man, the Cardinals were rolling. They had won a few games in a row, coming off of a bye, and they just didn't look good at all against Seattle in the loss. Bad loss for them. Now they're going to Minnesota, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with the Vikings. I just think the Vikings defense is stout. I think Kyler Murray is going to struggle. In Minnesota, tough place to play. Minnesota's a 3.5-point favorite. I think the Vikings get the win. I still think the Vikings are a first-round exit come playoff time, but if they win this, they'll be 10-2. That's crazy for the Vikings. Bucks, Panthers. Bucks are trying to, listen, if the Bucks win and the Falcons lose, you're talking about a tie for first place in the NFC South. Now, the Falcons own that tiebreaker because they beat the Bucks twice, but I think the Bucks are going to beat the Panthers, even though Bryce Young is playing well, and he's been a lot better since he rejoined the lineup. I just think Baker Mayfield, with Mike Evans back, the Bucks look good, and I think they're going to try to build on that momentum they got when they slaughtered the Giants last week. I got the Bucks over the Panthers. Rams, Saints, call back to that playoff game where the referees kind of cheated the Saints years ago. I'm going with the Rams. I think the Rams are still going to make that NFC West interesting. I think the 49ers are about out of it. Sorry to Brock P. Fan 13 if you're watching. I think the 49ers are going to be out of it. Cardinals I don't trust at all right now. Seahawks are leading the way. I think the Rams, with Stafford playing well and the weapons they've got and the experience they've got between Stafford and McVay, I think the Rams will make it interesting, and I think the Rams beat the Saints. I really do. I think the Rams beat the Saints. Saints have won a couple in a row, but I'm not a big believer in them, so give me the Rams. Eagles, Ravens. You want to talk about a game. Eagles, Ravens. I wish this was a Sunday or Monday nighter, but it's a 3:30 game Man, this is a tough one. It's in Baltimore. Who's favored? The Ravens are a 3-point favorite, and home field gets you about a 3-point difference. So I think I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think I'm going to go with the Eagles, man. Saquon is just at another level. The weapons they have in AJ and Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts has been playing okay. He's been playing well. I mean, Derrick Henry versus Saquon Barkley. That's a beastly matchup right there. I got the Eagles, though. I got the Eagles. I think that they just feel a little more polished to me than the Ravens. The Ravens' defense has been a little suspect. They don't nearly have the weapons on the outside that the Eagles do. So I'm going to go with the Eagles in a close one. But I got the Eagles. And for all we know, this could be a Super Bowl preview. 49ers Bills are on Sunday night. I mean, I think that's one that you would have looked at preseason and said that's going to be a good one. With the way things are shaking out, I don't think it's going to be. I think the Bills are a 7-point favorite. I think the Bills are going to get them. In Buffalo whoever's starting quarterback for the 49ers thinks going to struggle. 49ers look like a team that's just kind of shutting down as things continue to get worse for them. So I'm going with the Bills to beat the 49ers on Sunday night. Monday night is the Browns and the Broncos. I'll have another episode by then, but Browns-Broncos. I'm going with the upset. I'm going with the Browns. I'm going with the Browns to win this game. Bo Nix has been really good against zone coverage this year. The Browns don't play zone coverage. They play man coverage. I think Bo Nix is going to struggle a little bit in Denver. Fans are going to be ready to cheer him on to a victory at home in prime time. I think the Browns are going to sneak up on them and beat them. And last but not least, Titans Commanders. Here we go. All right. Been a while since we had one of these. It's been a while since we had one of these moments. But let me tell you something. Last Sunday, I started to feel a little warm and fuzzy feeling. A little warm and fuzzy. Started to feel a little a turning of the tides a little bit. Now, I don't know what the Titans' final record is going to be, but I'm going to make the pick. Tennessee Titans over the Washington Commanders. I'm calling it right now. I'm going to say the Titans roll into Washington on that high, riding that high after beating Houston. You're feeling good about everything. Will Levis walking in with a little swagger. He's playing better. Callahan's starting to figure it out. Offensive line, Nicholas Petit-Frere played his best game ever the other day on Sunday. Ridley's going to be ready to go. I know people say it's not good. They're going on the road, but you know what? I think they're road warriors. After going to Houston last week, I think they want to go on the road. They're going to go to Washington. They're going to struggle against Jaden Daniels with his legs. They're going to struggle against Terry McLaurin. But I think the Tennessee Titans get the second win in a row. First time winning consecutive games in 2 years. I think the Titans are going to do it because the Commanders are coming in and they're coming off of a gut punch of a loss. A gut punch where they scored that magical touchdown to Terry McLaurin. Everybody's going crazy. And then they missed the extra point. Oh, the gut punch. It hurts. The fans are so devastated. Remember the Bears? What happened to them after they lost that devastating game to the Commanders on the Hail Mary? They came out the next 2 weeks flat as all get out. They came out flat as a can of Coke that's been sitting there for 2 years since the last time Titans won consecutive games. I think the Commanders are going to come into this game feeling a little bummed. They'll come and be like, man, that loss kind of took a little bit out of us. Titans are going to be coming and be like, hey, we got the momentum, baby. We're going to go coming in there like, hey, y'all took a gut punch of a loss. Couldn't be us. Couldn't be us taking that gut punch of a loss because we went to Houston and beat one of our rivals on the road. And now we're here in your house where y'all can't make no extra points. We're coming up in here feeling like it was time to tighten up. I woke up feeling like it was time. Oh, yeah, you already know. I got the Titans over. Over the Commanders. I'm doing it. It's the first time I've picked them. Well, I think I picked them to beat the Patriots, but it's the first time I picked them against a good team in a long time. I got the Titans beating the Commanders this Sunday. Let me know your predictions in the comments. God bless you, everybody. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Have a good weekend. Talk to you Monday at 1 Eastern, noon Central to recap whatever happened Sunday. Bye, everybody.